Let's all take a breath together. Wow, we are halfway through the life-changing magic in decision, which is what we're talking about this month. How many people have been making decisions consciously? How many people have begun to experience the life-changing magic in making decisions? When we really make a decision and then take some action to follow that up. So I'm glad to see that. I have a challenge for you by the time I finish this, but right now we'll just talk about the life-changing magic in decisions. Decision being a conclusion that we reach about something that's been under consideration. Or as the Science of Mind textbook defines it, a decision is a determination or resolve or steadfastness or firmness or whatever, but it's still a decision, something that changes our lives, something that we do all the time, each and every moment of each and every day. We're making some decision about something. And so the thing for us to do is to move into that place where we are consciously deciding, consciously making a decision. We've talked about decisions. We've talked about the dream in our hearts. And today we're going to be talking about the fork in the road. The fork in the road. And I love that title because I can remember my father was a big baseball fan, and I can remember him talking about Yogi Berra and the different things that he would say. He was the New York Yankees catcher, and there were different things that he would say. But the one thing that always I remembered was he would always say, if you come to a fork in the road, I can say this. If you come to a fork in the road, take it. If you come to a fork in the road, take it. And as a kid, that was kind of trying to figure that out. But as I got a little bit older, I started to understand that and just how hilarious that really was. When you come to a fork in the road, take it. And how we do try to do that. We come to forks in the road all the time, and we try to straddle it. We try to go both ways. Go on this side a little bit, go on that side a little bit. Go on this side a little bit, go on that side a little bit. That doesn't work. That doesn't work at all. But what I'm sorry, what did you say? Well, now that's true. You fall a lot. You fall a lot trying to straddle those two paths. And so what we're talking about today, what do we do when we come to a fork in the road? Ordinarily, and as I said, we come to forks in the road just like making decisions. We come to forks in the road every day. Every day there's some fork in the road that we come to. And the ones that we remember the most are the ones that appear to be the most consequential, the ones that appear to be really big things in our lives. Those are the ones that we remember. Those are the things that impact us the most, are the ones that really have the possibility of really changing our lives. And most of them can, but we don't look at them that way because they're not quite as consequential. So just thinking about what do we do when we come to a fork in the road? You know, there's that poem by Robert Frost, The Road Not Taken, The Road in the Woods, in the Yellow Wood, where he stands there and looks at both paths for a long, long time and just looks at one path and tries to figure out what happens if you go this way, and then looks at the other path and tries to figure out what happens if you go this way, and just standing there trying to figure it out, which is what we do in our lives. We stand here and try to figure out, if I go this way, this is going to happen. We don't know, but we try to pretend we do anyway. If I go this way, then this is going to happen. So we stand there and we ponder. And what the person in the poem decided to do was to go on the road that was less traveled, the one that had the most green, the one that didn't have footsteps and footprints and was not downtrodden. That was the road to take, the road that was less traveled, the road less trodden, you know? So how do we do when we come into forks in the road? What do we do when we come there? First of all, we want to know everything about it. If I make this decision, everything about it, we want some kind of guarantee. So some of us go to prayer. Some of us go to psychic hotline. Some of us go to friends, family, and everybody has a different opinion about what it is we want to, what it is we should do, what it is, how we should go about handling this fork in the road where we are. But you know, the thing for us to do is to just get really clear, and that takes us back to the 3 points about decision that we've been talking about all month. First of all, knowing what you want, That's the first thing about making decisions. Know what you want. Get really clear about what you want. And when you're really clear about what you want, then you can make the decision that that's what you're going to have, that that's what's going to be. When you know what you want, you make a decision, that's what's going to be, and then you take action on that decision that you've made. Not trying to make it happen, but just taking whatever action you're guided to take. So when you come to a fork in the road, that's what we have to do. We have to apply those 3 steps. We have to be aware of those so that we can have the life that we wanted, the life that we were created to live. I've had many forks in the road in my life. One major fork in the road that I was thinking about this morning was when I decided to leave Cleveland, Ohio, years ago. I thought that I was going to move. I woke up one morning and decided, it's time for me to leave Cleveland. I had lived there for many years. I'd raised my daughter there. And I decided, it's time for me to leave Cleveland. But I didn't know where I was going to go. So I started looking in newspapers and reading want ads in different places. And I found out that there was a position open in Rochester, New York for an editor at a legal publishing company. And so I decided, that's where I'm going, to Rochester, New York. And I'm going to get this job as an editor. And I did. I got the job. And 2 weeks before I was supposed to move to Rochester, I had packed to move to Rochester. And 2 weeks before, I thought, I think I'll move to Cincinnati, Ohio. So, yes, it was a while. And so I didn't have a job there. My sister lived on the outskirts of Cincinnati, but that wasn't the reason for me moving there. It was just I was going to move to Cincinnati for some reason. So I changed everything around, changed the movers and everything, and I moved to Cincinnati. And I wasn't really sure why I moved to Cincinnati because I really didn't like it there. And I got a job, a really great job there. And I was beginning to live my life there. Things were going pretty well there, but I still didn't really like Cincinnati that well and wondered why I moved there. So I was talking to my daughter one Saturday night, and I said, you know what? We're going to move back to Cleveland. We're going to go back to Cleveland because that's where all my friends are. That's where we've had our life all these years. I had left Cleveland, and I was on the path to become a judge and run for a judge and do all that stuff, and I just didn't want to do that. And most of my friends had become judges, and they were coaxing me, come on back. There's still something that you can be doing here, and there's still a seat coming up. So I said, okay, I'm coming back to Cleveland. So that Saturday night, we went to bed, and that Sunday morning, I got up, and I was watching Robert Schuller on TV. And when my daughter woke up and came into, well, first of all, when I woke up that morning, there was light coming through the window. This was in February, so there was sunlight coming into the window in February in Cincinnati. So when I first woke up, I thought, I'm in California. And I had to lie there for a few minutes and just think about, where am I? And once I realized, oh, this is Cincinnati. So I went on and I started watching Robert Schuller. When Cheryl got up and came into the room, I said, we're moving to California. And so she said, did something happen after I went to sleep last night? Because last night we were moving to Cleveland. What happened during the night? I said, I don't know, but we're moving to California. And she said, where in California? I said, LA. She said, what are you going to do there? I don't know. Where are we going to live? I don't know. But we're moving to California. So if it doesn't work, don't be concerned. If it doesn't work, then we just said that we're going to go through California on our way back to Cleveland. She was a good kid. She would listen to all that craziness from me. She was so used to that. So it's like, okay, we're going to go through California on our way to Cleveland, and then we'll go back to Cleveland later. So that's what I decided. I was going to move to California. I didn't have a job. I didn't have a place to stay. I didn't know anybody, but I was going to move to LA. And when I called the moving company and set up the movers and everything, they asked for an address. I don't have one, but by the time you get my stuff there, I'll know where I'm going to be. So it was that kind of move that I made when I came to that fork in the road. I could have gone back to Cleveland, back to the life I had, back to the friends I had, back to that which was comfortable, that which was known to me. or I could go on that path that was less traveled in my life anyway. And so I chose to go to California. I chose to just go for it. And that's the road that the path that led me to Phoenix. Because that was many years ago. But it was that was a big fork in the road for me. I could have gone back to that which was comfortable. I could have gone back to that which was known. I could have gone back to that which was much more lucrative financially at that time in my life. I could have done so many other things. Yet there was something calling me, something pulling me, something guiding me to go to California, to find out what was there, to trust, to do all that. And so that's what I invite you to do today when you come to that path, when you come to that fork in the road, when you come to that unknown path, that untraveled path. Don't let the determination be made by what you've done in the past. Don't let the determination be made by who you think you are, who you've always been. Don't let the determination be made by the how. How am I going to do that? Where am I going to get the money? Where am I going to get a job? Where am I going to stay? You know what? Just follow that guidance. Follow that instinct. And what is important for us, there's three things in doing this road less traveled. Dare to be uniquely you. That's the first thing. Dare to be uniquely you. Now, being uniquely me is not for the faint of heart. I realize that. And it really scares the bejeebies out of me sometimes. And it scares the bejeebies out of people who know me. But you know what? That's me. I am daring to be uniquely me. As I look back at things that I've done, decisions that I have made, I realize I could have made a more sensible one. Or I could have done things in an easier way, or in a way that seemed to make more sense. But I didn't. I did it my way, not the way somebody else wanted me to do it. And so that's what I'm inviting you to do. Do things the way that is uniquely you, not just for the sake of just being belligerent or hard-headed or stubborn or whatever, but because that really is you. That's really the way you move through the world. Dare to move through the world the way that you move through the world. And it may not be the way anybody else does. It may not make any sense to anybody at all. It may not make sense to you at that time, but sometimes just do it anyway if that is uniquely you. So get in touch with what is uniquely you. What is it that's 100% you, and you're not hearing those voices in your head that are telling you who you are, who you were, or you're not going by any of the labels that we've had. We get those labels throughout our lives from society or from our parents or from our teachers or wherever we get them from. But not being caught up in the labels and just being who you are, doing you. That's the important thing to do. And so when you start to do that, you start to get in touch with what is it that I really want? What is it that I really, truly want? What do I want to have? What I want to be? What I want to do? What do I really want? And so then once you do that, then make the decision to have it. Make the decision to have it. So once you are deciding what you want according to who you are, according to that unique being called you, then grow your inner life. That's the next step, is growing your inner life. Developing your relationship with the all that is, developing your relationship with God, developing your relationship with that guides us and directs us and shows us the way, developing your relationship with Source. Always coming back to Source, because it's the relationship that gives us the listening heart. It's the relationship, not the knowing mind. We can research. I could have researched California and researched how I'm going to get there and researched places to live and researched all of this forever. But you know what? It's the listening heart. It's that heart that's open to the call of Source, to the call of the divine, to the call of that divine intelligence that already knows where it wants to be, already knows how it wants to be, already knows everything about how it wants to show up as me, how it wants to show up as you. So developing our relationship with that inner presence, that inner knower, is so, so important when we come to the fork in the road, because we don't have to then try to figure out how to get to that relationship. Because we've been developing it all along with our spiritual practice, with our meditation, with our prayer, with our reading of inspirational materials, with our classes that we take, with our hanging out with like-minded people, with all those things that we do to develop our relationship with the divine. Prayer and meditation, I'm thinking of, I've said this before, I'm thinking of the Marianne Williamson quote from the book, The Gift of Change, and when she says that when we meditate sometimes, but not always, we tend to think that God works for us sometimes, but not always. When we pray and meditate, some days, but not all days, then we will feel the peace of God on some days, but not all days. If we go to God only when we are in trouble, then we feel that God is inconsistent, yet the inconsistency lies within each of us. When we go to God just to go to God, when we turn to God just to turn to God, then we develop our spiritual musculature to the point where we can handle life's challenges. We develop that spiritual musculature when we get in the habit of going to God, when we get in the habit of turning to God, when we get in the habit of doing our spiritual work so much that it's just like, as I said, brushing our teeth. It's just like waking up in the morning and getting dressed. It's just a part of who we are and a part of what we do. And it's not something that we have to say, oh, now I gotta go do my meditation. Oh, now I gotta go. You hear people say that. I just didn't feel like meditating today. I can hear Michael Beckwith's voice whenever I say that to myself, because he used to say, you didn't feel like it. You didn't feel like meditating. What does that mean? And that was always his question. You didn't feel like it. I don't feel like it. I don't feel like spiritual practice today. He's like, and so what? You do it anyway. Not feeling like it is not a consideration. It's not an option. And so that's how we have to get as we grow our inner life. As we allow ourselves to return unto God, as Christian D. Larson says, returning unto God, where everything is made new. Where everything is made new, where everything is already known. When we return unto that source, return unto that source energy that animates everything. When I first moved from the building that I lived in prior to now, I had DirecTV, and when I moved to the building I'm in now, I wanted to continue with DirecTV. And I had all my equipment, and I had everything set to go, and when the installer came out, he said, oh, you can't get DirecTV in this building. And I said, why not? Because I see dishes for DirecTV all over the complex. And he said, yeah, but on this side of the building, you can't get to the connection, to the signal. I'm like, that is madness. That makes no sense. Of course I can get DirecTV. Of course, the people right behind me have DirecTV. He said, yeah, they live on the other side of the building. So they can get the signal. On this side of the building, you can't get the signal. I argued with that. I argued with him. I tried to show him how he could move it around this way and how he could do all kinds of things. And he's like, no, ma'am, you can't do that. There's no signal that comes in on this side of the building. The signal comes in from the other side. Without the signal, you cannot get DirecTV on this side of the building. That's the way it is with Source. If we're not connected to Source, I wasn't connected to Source on that side of the building. So I don't care how much I argue, I don't care how much I fought about it, I don't care how much I complained, I don't care how much I cajoled, and I whined, and I called to complain to DirecTV. I don't remember now what I said to them, but I did call them and let them have a piece of my mind. There was no signal on that side of my building. I've been living there now for 3 years, I think. I don't have DirecTV. You know what? When there's anything blocking us from Source, there's no signal that's going to come through. There's something blocking it from Source on that side of the building, from the source the signal on that side of the building, so nobody on that side of the complex can have DirecTV. People who live on the other side can. So what we have to do when we find that there's something in our own lives that are blocking us from source, that are blocking us from that signal, we have to get it out of the way. We have to do something different. And this is where the third thing that comes up that we're going to do. Once we do the first two things I said that just slipped my mind, but when we do the third thing is when we are really moving into the energy and clearing the energy so that we can be in alignment with our decision. In other words, walking in the direction of our decision is the third thing that we're going to do. Once we have made that decision and have decided to grow our inner life, then we walk in the direction of that. Walk in the direction of that decision. We still aren't trying to figure out how we're going to make it happen, but we walk in the direction of it. We do those things that are before us to do. I couldn't make DirecTV hook up by my equipment and everything and get a signal because there was none. So what did I have to do? I still had to walk in the direction of what I wanted. I wanted to be able to have TV. I wanted to be able to have cable. I wanted to be able to have internet. I wanted to be able to have phone service. So I had to do what I had to do that. I had to take some action. I had to go to another company. The company that I said I didn't ever want to have service with. Guess what? I have service with that company now. As much as I like DirecTV, I still have to be where the source energy is. And so that's the thing that I'm saying to us here today. We have to be where source energy is. We have to be in alignment with source energy. So make a decision about what it is you want. Know what it is you want. Then make the decision and then follow through with that with action. Follow through with that with action. And you do that by being uniquely you. Growing your inner life. And then walking in the direction of your decision. That's what we all have to do. That's what we all have to do. When we come to the fork in the road, you don't know which road to take. What do you want? What do you really want? When I left Cleveland, I wanted to change my life. When I left Cincinnati, I wanted to change my life. Going back to Cleveland was not going to change my life. So make a decision about, a determination about what it is you want, and then make a decision, I shall have it. I shall have a different life. I shall have a different life. And then take the actions that are necessary for you to have that different life. Let's take a breath. Everybody with me? So the challenge that I have for you today is just think about in your own life, what is it that you really want? Think about what is it that you really want, and then make a decision to do that, and then take the action that is necessary. So how many of you are willing to really clarify what it is you really want, what it is you really want, and make a decision that you shall have it? I saw some hands go down then. You're willing to make a decision that you're going to have it, and then take whatever action is necessary, whatever action you're being guided by Spirit to do so that you can have that. Is that what you're willing to do? Yeah. Challenge? Okay. With regard to this community, I'm sorry? If you want to, or you can keep it up. If you, as far as this community is concerned, I want you to think about that for the CLF community. How many of you really love this CLF community? Do you know what you really want? Do you want to see this community thrive and grow and be the very best that it can be? How many want to do that? Everybody's clear on what they want. I don't see all hands, but for those of us who do, is there anybody whose hand is not up, who's willing to want to see CLF be all that it can be? Okay, so if we're all willing to have CLF be all that it can be, let's make the decision that it can be that. It can be so much more. It can be so much more. It can be larger. It can be deeper in consciousness. It can be all that we would like it to be, all that God created it to be. Because this is a divine idea in the mind of God. This community, this center here is a divine idea in the mind of God. God already knows what it wants to look like as CLF. And so now that we have made the decision that we want it to be all that it was created to be, how many of us are willing to do whatever we can to help make it be that? Let's take a breath. I see a lot of hands up. I'm taking names. I got a hidden camera here. I got a hidden camera up here. I'm taking photographs of all those hands I see. You can put your hands down. All those hands I see up, I'm taking photographs. You know who you are. It's up to us to make the decision that this community is thriving, it is growing, it is loving, it is powerful, it is power-filled, it is God-filled. It is a divine idea in the mind of God that is constantly expressing, constantly being more, constantly being all that it was created to be, so much more than we can even imagine. That's what this community is. We have to see that. We have to know that. We have to want that. We have to decide that we can have that. It can be that. And that's what I'm calling on all of us to do today. I'm issuing a challenge to all of us. We know what we want. We've made the decision that we're going to be that. And I'm calling on all of us to walk in the direction of what our decision has been. Yes? Yes? Yes. 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 Thank you. Thank you. Let's take a breath on that yes. And you know, the way that yes goes is saying yes to God always. Yes to God. Opening, being more and more available, being more and more aware of God's presence, practicing the presence more and more and more and more and more. That's what I'm inviting us to do today. And it doesn't matter what the fork in the road is, and it doesn't matter what road we take when we're following that divine guidance, because it always leads us to where God wants us to be if we are following that guidance that we're getting with regard to that fork in the road. So let's take a breath as we turn within. Just allow ourselves to move into that place of knowing and sensing and feeling God's presence. Just knowing that that presence is the only presence. It is the only life. It is the only mind. It is the only breath. It is the only activity. God. That's what I choose to call it, God. But by any other name, you can call it something. Or you can call it nothing. You don't have to call it anything. Because it just is. It just is. And this isness that is God is my very life. This isness that is God is the life of each of us here this day. And it is from this place of awareness that I speak the word for each of us this day. Speaking a powerful word of healing on every level of our being. If it's healing our unbelief, healing our body temples, healing our bodies of affairs, healing our relationships, healing our financial affairs, healing in whatever area there seems to be a separation from the all that is. Because that's the only thing that ever needs to be healed is our sense of separation from the all that is. And so I'm calling forth healing in this moment by this word that's being spoken as we release anything that would block us from the source of our being. Fear and doubt and how-tos and shoulda, coulda, wouldas and all that, we let that go because it blocks. And we open ourselves up to possibilities. We open ourselves up to that power and that presence of God. We open ourselves up to love and to peace and to harmony and to balance and to joy and to freedom and to forgiveness and compassion. We open ourselves up to the qualities of God. We open ourselves up to God itself. And we live our lives from that place. We allow life to live itself from that place. Life lives itself in and through and as each one of us. And as it does this, wholeness is revealing itself in every aspect of our lives, in every aspect of this community, of every aspect of this city, this state, this country, this planet, this world. God is. And so this word goes out to anybody on this planet needing a prayer this day. Just knowing that right where everyone is, God is blessing and keeping them. As I open the circle of prayer, I pause momentarily so that you may speak the names of anyone you'd like held in prayer. You may speak their names silently or loud, and you may speak them now. And so for all those whose names are spoken here this day, I know that God is right where each of them is, blessing and keeping them. That God is in the midst of every situation, every circumstance, every event, every pain, every sorrow, as well as in every joy. God is. And so I simply say thank you, Father, Mother God, for the blessings of our lives. Thank you, Father, Mother God, for the blessings that we are to life. Thank you, Infinite Presence. Thank you, Divine Mother, for everything. I just allow it to be now. And so it is.